5 Chinese companies are leaving the New York Stock Exchange. Hundreds had been warned they were failing to meet audit requirements. Well, this is, I guess, where that wonderful phrase, "hit the road, Jack, don't you come back no more," is applicable. This is on WND by John Hugh Demastri, Daily Caller News Foundation. 5 state-owned Chinese companies announced that they would delist from New York Stock Exchange NYSE Friday, as tensions between China and U.S. remain high and a dispute over regulatory issues remains unresolved. Oil conglomerate Sinopec, China Life Insurance, Aluminum Corporation of China, PetroChina, and Sinopec subsidiary Sinopec Shanghai Petrochemical Company all announced they would delist from New York Stock Exchange at the end of August, according to Reuters reports. Companies listed on New York Stock Exchange are required by U.S. law, of course, to submit to U.S. auditing, which China has refused to do, leading to the possibility that Chinese companies remaining listed may be forcibly removed by the U.S. Well, I should hope so. Who are they to refuse to give in audited financials? It could be just creative accounting that they're submitting to the New York Stock Exchange and authorities if they're not audited. That's why we have auditors, so that the widows and orphans that decide to invest in these stocks to live off from can have dependable, credible stocks instead of something that's creatively accounted for. Now, they said these companies have strictly complied with the rules, regulatory requirements of the U.S. capital market since their listing in the U.S. and made the delisting choice of their own business considerations. This is what the China Security Regulation Commission, CSRC, said in their press release. Well, what else would they say? The CSRC respects these companies, they said, business-driven decision in compliance with the rules of the listing venue. We will continue to communicate and cooperate with relevant overseas regulators to jointly protect the legitimate rights and interests of issuers and investors. In December 2021, the U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission, SEC, notified 273 Chinese companies that they were at risk of being delisted if they continued not to comply with auditory regulations. Well, of course, they should be thrown out if they do not comply, just like the U.S. companies or other foreign companies listed, if they do not comply, are thrown out. Now, some of these largest Chinese companies in China, such as e-commerce company Alibaba and artificial intelligence company Baidu, were included in this, Reuters reports. The market value of Chinese companies listed in the U.S. was approximately $2 trillion, according to Wall Street Journal. While the companies have been delisted from New York Stock Exchange, they will remain listed on Hong Kong-based mainland China exchanges, according to Reuters. Well, fine. Hit the road, Jack. Don't you come back no more. Global fund managers holding stock in U.S.-listed Chinese firms have begun to transition to holding stock on Hong Kong listing instead. Now, it's playing roulette. I mean, you're playing roulette if you're investing in these things. These companies, as said, are very thinly traded with very small U.S. market capital, so it's not a loss for U.S. capital markets. This is what Brendan Ahern, CIO of Crane Fund Advisors, New York fund focused on Chinese technology, said. Some experts surveyed by Reuters believe that the delisting could be a sign that China is not interested in continuing talks with the U.S. on this issue. China is sending a message that its patience is wearing thin with the audit talks. Goodbye. Good riddance. So long, farewell, goodbye. Goodbye. We don't need to, Americans and people that want to save their money don't have to risk investing on your stocks, China. Goodbye. Go back somewhere else. Now, Ahern noted that the delisting of the 5 companies concerned may actually ease tensions between U.S. and China on the issue of auditing. No kidding. There's another 273 companies that are like this. Now, China Telecom, China Mobile, China Unicom were delisted from New York Stock Exchange following regulatory rule during the Trump era that restricted investment in Chinese technology. President Biden has not reacted. New York Stock Exchange declining Daily Caller request for comment. The SEC, PetroChina, Sinopec Shanghai Petrochemical, Aluminum Corporation of China, and China Life Insurance did not respond for comment either. Please leave your comments. Thank you for your support. Kindly support my Patreon account. The daily posts are 5 videos daily, and they are totally different from what I have on my YouTube channel. Thank you so much for your support and that you find all my content so interesting. You'll find the Patreon account details in the description box below.